Hey there, Kyle Souza. Check out TalkGeek.com. We're going to talk about this book, The Whispering Muse by Sean, however exactly it's pronounced. He's from Iceland, and it's basically the Nordic version of the name Sean. Shawn for the English version, or so I grew up with people knowing, or people that I knew, Sean, pronounced Sean. So this is the same one. It's let's see, like that, SJO with an accent mark N. All right, The Whispering Muse. First, let's talk about what this is about before I get to my thoughts on it. The year is 1949, and Valdemar Haraldsson, an eccentric Icelander with elevated ideas about the influence of fish consumption on Nordic civilization, has had the extraordinary good fortune to be invited to join a Danish merchant ship on its way to the Black Sea. Among the crew is the mythical hero Canis, disguised as the second mate. Every evening after dinner he entrances his fellow travelers with the tale of how he sailed with the fabled vessel the Argo on its quest to retrieve the Golden Fleece. So, one, that Canis, that's how I pronounce it. I've never heard it said. Like a lot of things, I've just read it. It's Caeneus. I'm sorry, Caeneus. Alright? Call him Canis. It's probably the wrong pronunciation. My apology to the Greeks. I was excited to pick up this book at Dollar Tree for $1 because, hey, who doesn't want a book for $1? And it's got some high praise on the back. Bjork, for example, gave him some praise. He's written some lyrics for Bjork, which, does everybody in Iceland only have one name? I mean, I know it's a relatively small population, and they even have to have an app to use when they go out on dates to make sure that they're not too closely related to the person that they're on a date with, because that's a big problem there. But, I mean, there are people with more than one name that have, like, the traditional first name, last name in Iceland now, right? Like, I know the character in the book has a first name, last name, but the author, just a first name. Which, I mean, I guess it's cool to be that famous that you only need one name. People are like, oh, Kyle, and they knew exactly who I was. I mean, I guess he's just on that level. This is his third book, I think. His other two being The Blue Fox and From the Mouth of the Whale. And like a short review, I did not like this book. I was excited about this book. I enjoy Norse mythology. I enjoy all mythologies: Egyptian, Middle Eastern, Greek, but especially Norse mythology, because my great-grandparents are from Norway, so I've taken a special interest in it. And he's from Iceland, and a lot of the book takes place off the coast of Norway. And though a lot of the book is about the trip on the Argo, Jason on his trip to find the Golden Fleece. And I enjoy the idea of mixing reality and mythology together. And, like a lot of times my daughter will ask me something like, Daddy, are unicorns real? And I'll be like, well, do you think they're real? And if she says yes, I'm like, okay, go with that. Because I don't care to tear down that wall for her right now, and also, none of you can prove that they aren't real. It's impossible to prove that they aren't real somewhere, some fashion. But anyways, aside from that, side note, I enjoy belief in those fantastical things. And so, thumbing through this quickly and reading, both the inside jacket on the front and the back, and then the praise on the back of it, I got that idea that this kind of mixed reality with fantasy, and based in Norse and Greek mythology, and it did that. But the main character, Haraldsson, is an adamant racist, and that's held in like a good light. And he's also a boring person. He's a boring racist. Not that, like, just being racist isn't bad, but like at least be interesting. And I mean, I'm joking. I'm joking. Racism is bad, but this guy believes in the superiority of the Nordic people. Which okay, that's like one thing. But then he talks about how they're so much better physically and mentally, and then he talks about black people in a negative way all on one page. And I almost just got rid of the book there halfway through when I was just like, I can't put up with this guy. Um, but I decided to go ahead and finish it, just because I'm bad about not complete. Like, I have watched movies and TV shows that I didn't like, just to, like, get to the end of an episode or get to the end of that movie. So if I stop something partway into it, it's bad. So, but this, I mean, he's not being hateful in his racism. It's just kind of part of who he is, which is how it is a lot in real life. And then the boring part. So, Valdemir is a... Sorry, I'm messing with the jacket. That's what that noise was. He is really into fish and the connection between Nordic people and fish and how awesome Nordic people are because they eat so much fish. Also, fish is disgusting. And I know some people will take offense to that, but that's because their taste buds are ruined by things like fish. So I know what you eat is personal preference, and Jesus ate fish, but so did this racist guy. So you can't really hold all that up and just be like, just because somebody else liked it doesn't make it good, and it doesn't make it bad either. I'm just saying, for me personally, fish is disgusting, and I'd rather eat wood pulp. Alright, back to the book though. Enough rant about fish. I've probably lost all 1 viewers here. Anyways, Whispering Muse. So, I had high hopes for this book, and I don't think this is a matter of just, oh, reality didn't meet expectations. The reality is bad. So this guy also kind of makes a big deal about being proper and not racy, but then says some pretty outlandish things, especially since a large portion of the story, about 50% of it, is based in mythology. And he's talking about some Greek mythology where there's some crazy stuff happening. So he's going into a lot of sexual things and sexually deviant things and rape and stuff like that in here. And, there's not too much, I guess, explicit in the, like, naming anatomy or anything like that, but there's, if you've read some Greek myths, there's some pretty raunchy, crazy stuff in there, and that's what this is. So it's nothing new, it's just being retold by this guy who, Valdemir Haraldsson, sucks. So there's that. The main Greek story is when the Argonauts land on Lemnos, and the island of women there that have all their husbands have left, and they're waylaid there for between 9 and 10 months. It's gotta be at least 10 months because one of them has a baby. Well, more than one has a baby. So maybe a year. I don't know. Not sure exactly. But anyways, and it's interesting. My review of a book that I don't like is going to be longer than a lot of the reviews of books that I do like. But I don't want you to get this book unless it really, really sounds good and interesting to you based off of what I'm saying, because it's not a great book. It's not, and a big part of why it's not a great book is because of the main character. He's not a good person. And that's never a negative thing that he's not a good person. This takes place right after World War II, and the guy never talks about Nazis being bad, which is still pretty fresh in the setting here. In fact, one of the guys who's described as a good guy is also described as a fascist, which... No, those don't go together. and it's weird, and it's a bad weird. And so I don't like it. I don't like it. I think I'm actually going to throw this book away. Like I don't do that. Oh, I'm going to recycle it. Put it in the recycle bin with the paper and the cardboard and everything. But looks like brand new. It was $22 originally. I got it at Dollar Tree. There was a few of them on the shelf. So I think that's about as much as anybody should pay for this. I don't. I'm not sure what all to say. I mean, there's a sliver of wood which acts as like Viagra for him, and that's weird. Like I said, it's weird in a bad way because he's not a good person. I want to drive that home. So if you're still watching this video after 11 minutes, don't read this book. In fact, I'm not going to include a link to this book like I normally do on YouTube. In the notes there in the description, I usually include an Amazon affiliate link for this book. I'm not going to do that. I'll include an affiliate link for some other good books to read. Maybe something for Greek mythology and whatnot, but not this book, because I don't want you to read this. Alright. I think I've gotten my point across. And you know what? Maybe this Sean, maybe he's a nice guy. But it's just hard to think that he would make the protagonist of his story such not a good person. And it's not that he's not a nice guy, though he is pretty rude. I will say that. The protagonist is. It's not that he like does anything like absolutely vile in the story. It's just, I think at his core, as a human being, he's not a good person. And if you're going to read a story, you put yourself in that world and you buy into it, you have suspension of disbelief, and you treat them like they're a real person. And if that was a real person, I wouldn't want to be around him. I might want to punch him if he talked too long, but I definitely would just avoid him at all costs. So avoid this book at all costs, which for me the cost was $1, and I wish I hadn't spent it. So hopefully somebody gets this warning and heeds it, and they avoid reading this book, and then my $1 was worth being spent to avoid somebody else's pain.